Magandang araw po mga ka-Feng Shui. Nandito na naman po si Yuri Saito to learn with me, Brand Ambassador of World of Feng Shui and Business Associate. Ano ngayon ang ating topic continuation doon sa unang topic natin about the numbers of our birthday. I-introduce ko ngayon sa inyo ngayon kung ano yung tungkol sa mga numero sa ating birthday. Introducing the fascinating science of birthday numerology. Okay? So, numerology is the use of numbers to determine lucky and unlucky energy flows within one's environment. And this is applied to individuals using the numbers of their date of birth. Much of this aspect of numerology can be traced back to Western mathematical discoveries, including those of the Greek philosopher Pythagoras. Among the many discoveries made was that individuals who shared the same dominant numbers should have similar personality traits. Ngayon, this dominant, ano ba yung dominant number na yan? Okay? Malalaman natin. Just listen to me. Okay? This dominant number were directly derived from the individual's date of birth. Okay? And this led Pythagoras to the conclusion that there had to be a specific numerical relationship between someone's behavior. Diyan pa lang malalaman natin. Iba yung 4 pillars of destiny, iba ang numerology, okay? Personality and attitude in life, makikita natin yan. There have been many scholars who have carried on further research to broaden the spectrum of his numerology concepts. So, to the Chinese, numerology has always been associated with magic, Lo Shu grid. Ano yung Lo Shu grid na yan? What is the Lo Shu grid? It is the 9 grid. Yan yung ginagamit din namin sa Feng Shui. Lo Shu grid. Yun nga, line of intellectual, spiritual, and the material lane, which is the 4, 9, and 2. Naku po, hindi nyo lang alam kung paano pumasok yan sa utak ko, hindi ko rin alam, okay? Kasi yung Lo Shu square, and the Hotu square, ano kaya iyon? Napakaswerte ninyo dahil may nagtuturo sa inyo kung ano talaga, kung ano ang Hotu, kung ano ang Lo Shu, which is nandyan yan sa birthday natin. Nasa birthday natin. So, to the Chinese, numerology has always been associated with the magic of the Lo Shu square. Ituturo ko sa inyo kung ano yung ibig sabihin ng Lo Shu square. Yung flying star, that is also a Lo Shu combination din yang ng Lo Shu square. This is it. Eto. Yung mga numbers na yan, that is Lo Shu square. This is a Lo Shu square. Yan, nagfo-fly ang mga numbers diyan. That is already a flying star. What is flying star? That is the energy of the day, the month, the year, and every 20 years. Kaya it is really magical. Kaya, wag nating sasabihin na ang Feng Shui, ang numerology, ang 4 pillars of destiny, that is not about God. It is not against religion. It is not against religion because it is metaphysics, okay? So, this is the magic of the Lo Shu square grid, which was discovered around 4,000 years ago. The intrinsic patterns of base chart, together with the way the numbers move around the grid, that is already the flying star, are believed to offer clues on the characteristic and outcomes of events within the environment. The Lo Shu grid is the central principle behind the ayan yung sinabi ko, flying star Feng Shui, and also used in the interpretation of the individual birth charts. Diba, kung iisipin natin, sino ba itong gumawa nito? Napaka talino naman itong taong ito na gumawa niyan, diba? Na nakakalculate natin yung nafo-forecast natin yung mangyayari, diba? At yung ating birthday is connected to the Lo Shu square. Okay. The only difficulty posed is that principal calculation of date of birth is based on the lunar calendar, while we are used to using the Gregorian calendar. It is not the lunar calendar. As such, before we can even use numerology to read our birth chart, so we need to convert the Western date to the equivalent lunar date. Fortunately, there are many websites available these days that makes it easy to convert between the two calendars. Ang galing-galing talaga. 'Di ba? Kung iintindihin ninyo ang aking sasabihin, ay nako, napakaswerte ninyo dahil walang nagturo sa akin nung araw ito. Okay. Ngayon, what is the meaning of the Lo Shu grid? The Lo Shu grid. Ito yung Lo Shu grid. This is the Lo Shu grid. Okay? This is the Lo Shu grid. Okay? This is the Lo Shu grid. Okay? That is 9 numbers. And if you will add everything, it adds to 15. Number 15. So diyan namin nakikita yung waning and waxing. What is waning and waxing moon? Waning moon and waxing moon, that is new moon and full moon. So, the 3 rows of the grid represents the 3 dimensions of one's personality. That is what? The intellectual. It is 9. Yung katulad na sinabi ko dun sa first video ko, intellectual, the three numbers is 9, 4, 9, and 2. And then we go on the spiritual, 3, 5, and 7. And then we go on to the material, it is 8, 1, and 6. So, now, it is the intellectual dimension, the spiritual dimension, and the material dimension. Okay. A missing row corresponds to a person whose persona is lacking in the characteristic of that dimension. Okay? For example, wala kayo dito sa spiritual. Hindi ibig sabihin hindi kayo naniniwala sa Panginoon. Hindi po yun. So, ibig sabihin, pag wala kayong 3, 5, and 7, ibig sabihin yan, you are lacking of, anong tawag dito, kulang kayo ng, you have the arrow of loneliness. And you are lacking of genuine friends. Madali lang yan. Pag, ituturo ko sa inyo. Little by little. So, a missing row correspond to a person whose persona is lacking in characteristic of that dimension. We go on the intellectual dimension. The 3 numbers on the top row are the 4, 9, and 2. This symbolizes the intellectual capability and motivation, as well as the mental process of thinking, analyzing, imaging, creating, and so forth. They also represents the conscious awareness of inner self. When combined with numbers on the material plane, which is 1 and 8, 1 and 6, it suggests awareness of facts and figures as well as desire for material gains. When the chart is devoid of numbers in the 2 other dimensions, it means the chart is completely out of balance and be interpreted to represent someone who thinks so much that nothing can be achieved due to inaction. Wala siyang ginagawa. Wala silang ginagawa. Okay? Nandun lang. They are only thinking, but they cannot achieve nothing because there is no action. To the Chinese, numerology has always been associated with the magic of Lo Shu grid. Yun nga yung sinasabi ko, with the 9 numbers. With the 9 numbers, yun nga yung line of intellectual, spiritual, and material. So, the spiritual dimension, the central number of 3, 5, and 7 represents the emotional nature of the person, including the degree of feelings, instinct of well as intuition. Having too many of the central numbers indicates someone of excessive emotions. If someone has many 5 in their birthday, it can mean the person is extremely emotional. While having too many 3 indicates a quarrelsome character. Kasi ang number 3 is argumentative in Feng Shui. Okay? So, pag isa lang is okay. Pero kapag dalawa, tatlo, ay, sus, Ginoo. Palaaway po kayo. So, an excess of 7s indicates a person who uses emotion for their own selfish gains. So, if there are missing numbers in the intellectual dimension, it suggests someone who is ruled by their heart. Mas nauunang kanilang puso kaysa sa kanilang utak. And who reacts to a situation in an emotional rather than logical manner. If there are missing numbers in the material dimension, which is 8, 1, and 6, it can mean someone who is willing to give up all material needs to satisfy their emotional needs. Too many emotional numbers in the charts generally means that logical and rational thinking are lacking in that person. Punta naman tayo ngayon sa material dimension, which is the 8, 1, and 6. Represent material success, abundance, wealth, and prosperity. Thank God I have all of those numbers. These numbers can also represent a lifestyle that too opulent as well as an arrogance caused by an excess of material possession. Buti na lang, isa-isa lang ako. Hindi yung marami ay yung nagdo-double ang numbers. Okay? Ngayon, it suggests a personal that is cold and devoid of feeling. Someone who is only interested in the pursuits of wealth and power. If there are missing numbers in the intellectual dimension, it suggests a wealthy person who wastes away his riches. While missing numbers in the spiritual dimension indicates someone unwilling to share his wealth. Maramot kayo. Ngayon, calculating your birth chart. Kakatuwa, di ba? So, how does one construct one's birth chart? Say, for example, you were born on the 12th March 1953. The first thing you need to do is to convert the Western Gregorian date to equivalent lunar date. And you can do so online. Meron tayong calculation yan. After conversion, the equivalent lunar date would be the 27th day of first month in the year 1953. The date would be written as 27/1/1953. January 27, 1953. Lunar date yan. At this point, you should be aware that for some years in the lunar calendar, there are 13 months, hindi 12 months, instead of the standard 12 months in the Western calendar. The numeral 0 is not used as this is regarded a complete number. Appearing at the beginning of the sequence of 1 through 9, construct the birth chart by writing the numbers that appears in the lunar date in the grid following the sequence according to the Lo Shu grid. The chart on the right shows that it has 2 and 7. Yung kanina, yung 1953, 2 and 7 meron siya because he was born 1953, January 27. So, the chart on the right shows that it has 2 and 7, and then the double 1, meron siyang double 1, kasi 19, ano siya, 1953, January, so may double 1 siya. So, nandito sa material gain, so double 1, and then 5, meron siyang 3, ay, nako, meron siyang 3, and then, meron siyang 7, and then meron siyang 2, 9, and 2. So, he has 2, 7, and double 1, and then 9, and 5, and 3. Take note that we omit numbers that do not appear in the lunar birth date, that is 0. For this chart, you can see, sa taas, 4, 9, and 2, di ba? Wala siyang 4, so 9 and 2. And then, meron siyang 3 and 5 and 7, that is spiritual lane. And then, 8, 1, and 6, which is wala siyang 8 and 6, meron siyang double 2. So now, you will find that there will be charts that possess more than one dominant number. So, doble ang 1 niya. Double 1. That is number 1. You will find that there will be charts that possess more than one dominant number, in which case the person will exhibit the characteristic as combination of the dominant number, as there are a maximum of 8 numbers in a birth date. In this case, that personality will constantly change as they move through life, although never in excess. For example, si Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber chart lacks the spiritual dimension, which is why he is making so many bad decisions. Okay? Kasi wala siyang 3, 5, and 8. Tapos, matalino nga siya. Sobrang talino niya. Kasi meron siyang 4, and double 9, and 2. And double 1. Okay? We can see from Justin Bieber's chart that he has 2 dominant numbers of the double 9 and the double 1 with missing numbers in the spiritual plane. Justin Bieber born is 1st March 1994. Lunar birth date is 20th day of 1st lunar month in 1994. Written as 21/1994. So pinanganak siya ng January 20, 1994. Okay? That is the lunar birthday. Ang galing ang galing-galing talaga. His chart has all the numbers in the intellectual. Sobrang talino. Oh my God. Dimension with none in the spiritual dimension. As such, this is someone who is motivated by his head. Ito ang nanguna sa kanya dahil wala nga siya nito eh. Okay? Wala siya nito. Wala siyang spiritual dimension. His chart has all the numbers in the intellectual dimension with 1 in the spiritual dimension. As such, this is someone who is motivated by his head but never by his heart. The 3 number 4, 9 and 2. Kasi meron siyang 4, 9, and 2 eh. Bali, double 9 siya. So, above average ang intelligence niya, talagang matalino siya. And of strong analytical creative abilities. However, because his chart is missing the spiritual essence, he would be considered selfish, makasarili, arrogant, and self-centered. Thinking only about how to better himself with no consideration for the needs of others. Furthermore, the double 9s aggravate these traits of self-centeredness. Self-centered siya. The double 1, dito sa sa material gain, material dimension, indicates the good potential for temporary great wealth, but he lacks the 8 and 6 to balance and lengthen his material gains. Kaya siya na down. His prosperity looks very short-term. Yun yung sinasabi ko. Okay? However, when it materializes, it can bring him lots of money. Overall, his person consistently lives his life in a manner that creates continuous bad karma, seeking only quick material gains that at the expense of others. His career as a singer has already shown this analysis to be true, where his popularity rises very quickly but just as quickly degenerates to the opposite. So mga ka-Feng Shui, dito na po nagtatapos ang ating how to introduce the science of birthday numerology. Sa lahat po ng hindi pa po subscribe sa ating channel, just click the button share para ma-notify po kayo sa upcoming videos ko. At yung mga hindi pa po nagpapa-member po sa aking YouTube channel, marami po tayong every end of the month meron po akong konting pinamimigay po sa mga pamalit po ng inyong pa-member. Okay? Pamalit po sa inyong pa-member para naman po maging masaya po ang lahat. So ako po si Yuri Saito na nagsasabing, hate what is evil and hold on to what is good. Do not let evil defeat you, instead conquer evil to good. Intindihin po ninyo lahat ang mga sinasabi ko dahil napaka-importante po ito. Maraming salamat po. Sayonara. Bye-bye.